Glad you could join us now in our first story. Health experts have raised alarm over the increase in cases of coronavirus recorded in Ghana this month, calling for urgent measures from governments to curb the spread. In a panel discussion on Prime Morning Monday, adjunct professor of the School of Global Public Health at the New York University, Nana Kofi Kwashi, says the increase means more Ghanaians are contracting the disease in the community and something must be done. President Akufo-Addo announced Sunday that Ghana has recorded 11,964 cases, representing an increase of 157 cases. Nana Kofi Kwashi explains why and gives the remedy.
We need to do public health interventions in the communities that go beyond just testing and tracing, because testing and tracing are efforts to catch up with the virus. We need to slow it down so we make sure that we can actually get our hands around it. And that inherently means we're going to have to consider things like localized lockdowns or curfews or other things that slow the rate of spread. Does that have a cost economically? Yes. But the counterpoint there is, what is the cost of having an economy that in a series of openings and shutdowns does not give confidence that it's prepared to resume normal life? So I really think we ought to really have on the table again real consideration for the potential of having at least localized lockdowns, localized curfews, that we have specific programs and protocols in place for the hotspots, because we really cannot actually continue with a trend of cases like this.
Also on the panel was Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boadje. Now, he says the data suggests a different approach.
Most of our cases have been sporadic spikes, and if you are following the update that we are typed and the all update, you see district-specific areas. For example, you can have an increase in the whole of Western region. You have an increase in the Takwan Suraim and the Kendi Takrady. And we know specifically which institutions have outbreaks that create that large number. Out of that number, you have people who report sick because of the numbers are huge. There are either you can lock down, but also an enhanced contact tracing, the large number of contact tracing and quickly isolation has worked a lot of the time. It worked in Tema, it worked in Ahuasi, and it worked in other places like Midday. So those options too are there. And lockdown has its own side to it. There's a social aspect, there's social economic aspect, and so you need a good balance. And so when we can use very rapid public health measures to address them, probably that will be the first option.
So live on JoyNews today. Let's go back to our earlier story and speak with Colonel Festus Aboagye, retired, on the enforcement of the No Mask Directive. Colonel, how well do you think this can be enforced?
Well, it is enforceable, depending on how we contextualize the word enforcement. To start with, I think this new paradigm of enforcement is going to be a challenge, simply because the law enforcement agencies or security agencies have not been very consistent in ensuring compliance with the restrictions and the lockdowns and so on. It looks like we relaxed the enforcement regime, and all of a sudden from yesterday, because the president says it is mandatory, now we need to start all over again. The law enforcement agencies or security agencies need to show massive deployment. They need to deploy very widely, especially in areas where there are heightened human activities. So the lorry stations and the markets and the malls, specifically in terms of geography, areas like Kejetia in Kumasi and let's say the Circle in Accra and so on and so forth. If we don't take the decision now that we need to be resolute in enforcing the measures, it's very obvious that this virus which is now gaining momentum in its community or communal or horizontal spread, is going to gain the upper hand. But having said that, I've always been very careful to explain that enforcement doesn't necessarily mean using brutal force or maximum force. Enforcement has to be in the context of humanitarian operations or humanitarian action, where a mixture of persuasion, a mixture of threats, a mixture of some degree of restriction of movement and so on, can get the Ghanaian population to understand that it is in our own interest that we comply with the government directive.
Okay. We saw some abuses, or at least allegations of abuse, when the lockdown directive was being enforced. How do you think we can avoid such occurrences this time around?
Well, once again, we've been talking about the need for education, the need for sensitization. But education and sensitization are moral suasion. Unless you couple that with a degree of compulsion, you can be sure that as citizens, for a different set of reasons for each individual, we may not comply. So the presence of the security forces, police officers in uniform, security personnel in uniform, city guards in uniform, especially in their combined nature, might help. If their presence is felt all over the places, and I'm not saying that we can put a police officer or a soldier in front of every single door, but if every so many meters that one walks, or every mile, you come across these law enforcement agencies imposing restrictions on persons who are not complying, then it becomes an inconvenience for persons who are not wearing the mask, to try and violate the restrictions. Again, I think we've been saying, when I say we, I mean all of us who have been part of this discourse, that the law enforcement agencies alone cannot enforce it. The local authorities, whether it is the zones or the units or the local assemblies and so on, and in terms of, let's say, lorry parks, lorry stations, the executives of the unions, for instance, all of them, market queens and whatever, all of them must be part of this enforcement action.
Right, thank you so much.
You can approach the enforcement from two ends. One that is, motivated from the ground by the individuals and the communities or associations that they belong to. And then on the other hand, by the law enforcement or security agencies.
Right. Thank you so much, Colonel Festus Savaji, for joining us this afternoon. Now, the University for Development Studies, UDS, has stepped up surveillance at its unapproved entries to the university campuses to ensure the COVID-19 protocols are observed. A registrar of UDS, Dr. ABT Zakaria, who disclosed this, said the campus has about 12 routes beside the main entrance to the campus. He said thermometer guns have been provided for the checking of temperature and wash stands have also been provided. Dr. Zakaria said the university is accommodating one student in a room, adding that provisions have been made to identify students who live outside the campus and are preparing to relocate one to the university hostel.
That students who are outside campus, we don't intend to bring all of them to the campus. Some of them already live one in a room. Yeah, they live one in a room, and we think that that is okay for them, provided they will obey the protocols outside campus and when they come onto campus. But we also have information that some of them live two each in a room. In that case, we have decided that we'll pick those who live two in a room. We'll pick one student each, and then we'll bring them to the campus so that they'll stay in the hostels. On the hostels here, we are putting them one in a room so we can control the situation.
Students, as we know, not all of them would obey these protocols. Staying outside and coming in, won't that endanger the rest of the students?
Yeah, that is true. We have decided that we shall implement to the core all the protocols. We might have problems with students, because we know students are difficult. We won't say all of them, but generally students are difficult. But fortunately for us, it appears that the students themselves are very concerned about COVID, and the few of them who are around already are obeying the protocols. So the rest who may be difficult, the few who may be difficult, we have our security persons who insist that they should wear the face mask, they should wash their hands, and they should use the hand sanitizer before they enter their hostels, before they enter the library, before they go to lecture halls and so on.
Government said we're going to provide PPEs. Has that arrived?
Yes, they have arrived. They arrived, I think, a few days ago or over the weekend. We had information over the weekend that the items had arrived. And as I speak to you now, we are arranging to pick them.
Now, away from schools, the National Blood Bank has recorded 20% decline in donations this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Restrictions on social gatherings compounded the problem, which experts say could be dire on health service delivery. Speaking at a virtual event in Accra to commemorate Blood Donor Day, CEO of the National Blood Service, Dr. Justina Ansah, revealed only 53,000 donations were received this year, compared to 73,000 same time last year.
There is an acute shortage of blood and components in health facilities as a result of the imposition of restrictions on public gathering, which led to the cancellation of mass mobile drives nationwide. However, there is continuous need for blood to save and improve the lives of many patients who require transfusion as part of their clinical management of their conditions. Consequently, the demand for blood and components far outstrips supply, especially from voluntary donors who are considered the safest source of blood. This present situation strongly emphasizes the fact that people need blood all the time, even during pandemics such as COVID-19. To highlight a few statistics, ladies and gentlemen, total blood collections declined by 21%, from 73,063 units recorded between January to May 2019 to 57,268 units over the same period this year, 2020. The percentage of voluntary blood donations considered only 28.7%, with the remaining 71.3%, which is 40,809 units, coming from family replacement donations. Voluntary donations were far more severely impacted than family replacement donations. The implications, ladies and gentlemen, in the sharp drop in blood collections are dire on health outcomes. Patients who cannot find relatives and friends to donate blood for them during emergencies, such as bleeding from complications of childbirth, aggressive cancers, severe anemia, and severe bleeding from trauma, may not recover from their conditions.
Now, let's explore this subject a bit further. We've been joined by the CEO for the service, Dr. Justina Ansah. Now, you mentioned, Doc, that it's because of the COVID-19 protocols and the ban on social gatherings that we've seen a decline in blood donations. Can you explain a bit further?
Very much for having me. First, I did mention that our donations are mainly from the mass mobile collections, the voluntary donations. 90% of our collections are from mass donations. And because of the restrictions placed on public gathering, because mass mobiles were considered as public gathering, so we could not go out to collect blood. So we had to resort rather to appointment system. And so that tells you already that 90% which of your collections of voluntary donation will be affected. Apart from that, we also had schools home. We also had the churches and the mosque were also not home, and also we had the corporate organizations also home. I mean, some of them were working and people also didn't want to come into the hospitals. They'd rather stay away at home. So all this compounded the problem. So it actually impacted on collections in general.
Right.
We had to put in measures to ensure that we get the collection because, of course, there's a continuous demand for blood. And at the same time, you know, that the supply was not as much as the demand.
What were some of these measures that you put in, Dr. Ansah?
Yeah.
What were some of the measures you put in, Doc?
Okay, thank you very much. The first measure we put in was initially when there was the lockdown, we had to actually work with the COVID-19 national team to request for approval to be able to give out passes to people to be able to come to donate. So we had issuing passes from our donor call center, especially in Kumasi and Accra. The second thing we did also was to actually actively call our donors whose numbers we had through our call center. So we did active calling of our donors, as well as putting the numbers, advertising in the graphic and all that for people to come forward. So that was the first thing we did. Okay. We had to get the donors to come and donate blood. And we informed them also that we were going to use the appointment system. So people had to come on an appointment. We ensured also that as the donors came in, we had water to wash their hands, soap and water and the running water. And then when they came in, we also took their temperature using a non-contact thermometer. All these things we informed them before they came in through education. Okay. And then we checked their temperature. We also had an enhanced form where we asked about their history, whether they've been in contact, all signs and symptoms of the COVID infection, or a history of that. Right.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Justina Ansah. She is the CEO of the National Blood Bank. As you heard her say, all the protocols are being applied, and so you're encouraged to donate blood voluntarily. Now, the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana has joined calls seeking justice for a 15-year-old boy who was shot and wounded a week ago after police in the Wali in the northeast region stormed a nightclub in the town to enforce a ban on the opening of drinking spots. The association, in a petition to the municipal chief executive, called for an independent investigation into the incident following a similar demand made by a group calling itself the Concerned Youth of Wali.
Rights, and we understand our role in handling certain situations. And again, it would ensure that it puts these security agents on their toes, such that before they take any action, they will look at the result of it. Because this particular boy, I'm very livid to state that he may be affected permanently. And as youth of the community, we can't sit and allow this to happen. Somebody's future is about to be destroyed. Therefore, there is a need for justice to be done. And this justice, we believe, can only be done if we have independent bodies like the BNI coming in to investigate this case. And in our petition, we gave a 1-week ultimatum to our authorities to ensure that this investigation is done. And we are counting on them and reminding them that on Monday we will come again to remind them and to take feedback of the petition that we have presented to them. We, the citizens, and as the Constitution says, the power resides in the people. We are going to take all necessary steps, legally permissible, to ensure that justice is given. And just like I mentioned, Monday we will come back to seek report or feedback of what we have presented. And on Monday, if you don't hear anything positive, if you don't hear anything assuring, we will definitely communicate to the media our next line of action. Thank you very much.
Actually, if the police relax, we are going ahead, because there are regional police commander will go to him, even IGP himself, we can go to him. We have the men, the family has the men, but we are pushing it at the district level to see if we don't get a way forward, then we know what to do. We'll push it up there and see.
Still live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Up next in business, more hotels take steps to fully open to the public beginning today. Daryl Crow has more. Stay with us.
So back to our stories on hotels reopening today. Insuado was at the Labadi Beach Hotel to check their preparedness.
Directives by the president to limit the spread of COVID-19. The hospitality sector has been one of the many sectors hard hit, with conferences cancelled or moved online, guests cancelling stays, and restaurants closed. But with the easing of restrictions, hotels are set to reopen fully on Monday, 15th of June. I took a trip to Labadi Beach Hotel to observe preparations ahead of the reopening. David Edwafo is Sales and Marketing Manager.
I wish I could remove my face mask so that you can see the smile on my face properly. I'm excited to have all my customers back, because look, it's not easy not having customers around your facility. And it's not easy also sitting at home doing nothing. Our customers are everything.
Having closed down a week ahead of the presidential announcement, General Manager Rene Vincent Ernst recounts the impact on their business and how they're ensuring safety for guests when they reopen.
Well, the impact has been devastating, undoubtedly, not just for us, but for the entire industry. It has been one that nobody saw coming, of course, and on the base of the year of return. And now the year beyond return is obviously a thing of the past very quickly. So we've had to regroup very quickly to counteract. No doubt we've written off the year completely, and there is no way we'll be able to recuperate that this year. So for the hotels who have been closed down for 3 months is a devastating effect, of course. But it's something we've had to do in order to comply with governmental rules and regulations. And of course, that comes first. People's safety is everything. If we're nobody around to visit us, then it would be in a bad place. So we took the decision at the time, and still feel today that it was a correct decision to do. So, but no conferences, no nothing, and the hotel being closed. It's been extremely difficult, of course. On the back of a very strong year last year, our reserves have allowed us to reach a compromise with the staff in order so they are sustained and not been laid off like so many others, unfortunately, in this bad situation we find ourselves in. But it's something we've been able to maintain so far, and now that we are looking at reopening again, I'm delighted to say we hope that we have weathered the worst of the storm.
The rise in the COVID-19 case count in Ghana has been a source of worry for many, but Mr. Vincent Ernst believes everyone has a role to play.
This is a two-way street, this COVID-19. If I am safe, you will be safe, and so forth. We need that collaboration with the general public, hence the fact that the most important part of all of this will be the safe distancing and so forth. And if we can observe this and we all join hands in doing so, then I am sure we will recover from this. But for sure, it's time where we need to count on each other in order to get some sort of normality back again. I think it's a new world which we live in now, and we have to observe that new world and relive that new world as quickly as possible, and then I think we will be okay.
Hotels like Labadi Beach Hotel are working hard throughout the weekend to ensure that come Monday, 15th of June, they're ready to welcome their guests and customers into the hotel. It is hoped that with the adherence of all the safety protocols, both from the visiting public and the hotel operators, we will see some movement and an upward trend of growth in the hospitality sector once again.
And there's more coming up on the marketplace at the top of the hour. Up next, sports.
Good afternoon, my name is Kadi and you're welcome to the Showbiz segment right here on JoyNews today. Now it's my very first story. Musician Wendy Sheikh has celebrated 2 years in the music industry with a virtual concert for her fans on Joy Prime. In case you missed out, here are highlights of the show held on Sunday.
Are you my hero? Yeah, baby. My tank hates you. Yeah, baby. Bedroom commando. Squeeze my tomato. Yeah, baby. Are you my hero? My tank hit you, oh yeah, baby. Hey, yeah, Ghana, it be like history won't repeat, cause mama today on the street, yeah. Monday to Sunday, we work hard but food not day. Same thing but different day. We work hard but what time not day. But no, they won't flop we. Cause they hustle. My boy left me. But we still there, yeah. Go down low. I see the dance make it go down low. Forget your worries and go down low.